Good morning, good morning. I'm thrilled to bring you this fascinating story of a business that has been operating on Sanibel Island for 70 years. The Sanibel Beauty Salon. You're going to meet the second generation owner, MaryAnne, and her husband Joe, a local fishing guide. MaryAnne is a great lady with an infectious laugh. You just can't help but be cheered up after listening to the two of them tell tales of MaryAnne's mother, or yaya as they call her. MaryAnne also talks about growing up on Sanibel and her fond memories of what it was like in the good old days. We would like to thank our sponsors, and if you have not already done so, please like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you click on the bell icon to be notified of future content.
Okay, I'm MaryAnne Banta. MaryAnne Aleck was my maiden name, and I was born here on Sanibel Island. My mom was from Keene, New Hampshire. She was the first born in America. Both of our sets of grandparents were from Greece. And my grandfather, on my mom's side, came over and worked on the railroad and stuff. And the grandparents on the other side, I guess they ended up buying a whole city block in California. And it's kind of funny because they had a bar and they had different things, and they actually had a house of ill repute. And so my dad, later on, when he married my mom, I guess it was an arranged marriage because the families always thought Greeks should stay together. He loved women, but he just unfortunately wasn't such a great dad or a great, father. So they ended up getting a divorce. But my mom was here. She came here originally because she liked to go shelling. And she was living in Sarasota, and she used to come out with some other families, prominent families on the island, the Knaves and the Hyers and stuff like that. My mom always shelled, and she's got a huge, huge collection of shells. So she always oohed and awed whenever we brought anything home, but we always knew that she had something a lot better. And then a lot of people that have written books and stuff about shelling have used her shells for the illustrations.
It must have been tough for her being a single mum growing up running a business, though. Do you remember her struggling? Or
I don't really remember her struggling because she just always made everything fun. I mean, even like at times when, you were poor and you didn't realize that you didn't have enough food to eat, she would have, we're going to have a popcorn party tonight, so you would eat popcorn and you still got a full belly, but you didn't realize that you didn't have any food. In fact, I've got an article I can show you too. She had a recipe one time in a cookbook for coquina broth. And if anybody knows what a coquina is, coquinas are itty bitty little shells. But the coquina broth, she actually has a recipe for coquina broth, so that kind of tells you how poor we were too growing up.
When you go out to the beach and the waves come in and them little bitty tiny clams that dig a hole back down into the sand, those are coquinas. You know how many hundreds of thousands of coquinas you need to make broth? And then to boil those and then pick the little shells out, I was like, damn, honey, y'all were poor.
Oh, yeah, to get all the sand out of them,
At least we had pears. We had corn.
and to explain who yaya is.
It's the Greek word for grandma. But she was known as the yaya. I mean, even growing up, all of the kids, she was always the one that was there with brownies at the end of a play date or something like that.
She also started the first Girl Scout troop ever out on the island, which was really nice. And she used to let the boys come too because they didn't have any Boy Scouts. Yeah, all the kids loved her because, like I said, the Girl Scouts and different things. Yep. She always, we had a pool. If anybody ever wondered where their kid was, they were at our house. She was very creative. She used to crochet. I was married once previously, and she crocheted. My sister and I had matching wedding gowns that she crocheted. And all of our bouquets and boutonnieres and everything were all made out of shells. Yeah, my mom started her beauty salon back in 1951. She made a point to open on March 25th because March 25th is Greek Independence Day. And she was very proud of her Greek heritage. It was funny because all of her equipment hadn't arrived yet. So and a lot of the people on the island, wanted to support her, so they still came and got their hair done. But some of the ladies had to sit outside in the sun on sawhorses to get their hair dry. When my mom first bought that property, I don't really believe anything was on there, except for maybe a couple of coconut palms. And she built the original beauty salon, which was a little bitty place. And in fact, it had a cistern in the back to catch rainwater because there was no running water on the island at the time. And she had a hard time, I guess, with my dad. So she called her brother to come help her.
John Cantinas came down with his wife Bella and built the corner restaurant, which was a coconut grove for approximately 36, 37 years. Uncle John went to college to be an industrial arts teacher. He was a very business-oriented guy, and he was a hard worker. He did a lot of hard work by hand. At the time, MaryAnne's mom, Mary, had what is now the shopping center, 25 acres up for sale for $25,000, and couldn't get nobody to buy it. And them being first-generation Greek, John looked and said, "My God, Mary, we're sitting on a gold mine." I mean, when I say that they built the shopping center, he literally took sand, concrete, water, mixed it, and poured concrete. Poor MaryAnne's dad kept being in the picture because he would constantly come by the beauty salon, take money out of the register, or would go fishing, or like she said, they would charge at the marinas, and next thing you know, the people from Jensen's would stop by the beauty salon and say, "Hey, Nick came by." It was just a constant drag on them. And then they said that Uncle John finally put the hammer down and said, "Look, me or him."
So they basically paid him to leave. But at the same time, because women weren't allowed to own anything, he had to sign papers in court saying that she was competent, being a woman, to own a business. So we have the declaration that shows that.
Back then, women didn't own things. If they got married, the man owned it.
So let's get this correct. Back in the day, you had to get permission to become a business owner if you were a woman.
If you were a woman, yes. She actually had the salon before she even knew him.
So just to explain to those that don't know, where exactly was the lot of land that your mum bought?
It's where Bailey Shopping Center is now, which takes up the whole corner of Periwinkle and Tarpon Bay. And then when my mom built Bailey Shopping Center, she actually had to talk the Baileys into moving. They were on the bay, and she knew she was out in the middle of nowhere, and she knew that she needed more of a draw store next to her. So she said, please, I will build a center to your specifications if you will move here. And they finally did.
So tell me about your early experiences on Sanibel. What's the first, what was it like growing up?
It was great growing up. I mean, you came across it on the ferry, and that was always fun because if you ever did go into Fort Myers, you would stop and get a loaf of bread and throw it up in the air and feed the seagulls, and they'd be so thick you couldn't even see the sky. But Sanibel used to be great then. I mean, where there's like the land, there's the bridge, and then there's land areas and stuff. But you used to go out there and scalloping and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it was a great place to get oysters, scallops, all kinds of fish. It was wonderful. It just was fun. I mean, everybody took care of everybody else. If anything happened to somebody, everybody chipped in to help make sure that they were fine. And everybody just kind of worked together for whatever you needed.
Okay. What other buildings do you remember as being a kid when you were on Sanibel?
I remember the community house, which is where it is now. It's not, they've expanded it and they've built on. But the community house also was when, if anybody ever got sick, I think we almost started the thing of having chickenpox parties or something like that, where everybody would almost get sick together. You'd have everybody together, and then they'd bring over a doctor. His name was Dr. House at that time, and everybody would meet at the community house, and he would inoculate everybody. And that's where we did all of our, from the schools, where we did all of our little shows and stuff. It was a great place to get together.
Was the American Legion where it is today?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Same building?
That I know of.
And were there paved roads or?
Oh no, the roads were kind of blacktopped. They weren't really paved. It was just kind of blacktopped. And there was actually a story, I don't know details, but about how if you drove from Sanibel all up to South Seas, because South Seas was there too, and picked up just car parts along the way, you could actually build a car by the time you got up there. But you used to do a lot of things. I mean, there was roller skating. They did a lot of stuff on the island. They did have a teen club, which was a lot of fun. And the community house always did things for the kids. Back
then, how many restaurants were on the island when your uncle built that restaurant?
I don't remember exactly. I think there was a place, it was either Jack's Place. I think it was called Jack's Place that later on became Harbor House. Now is Celio, I think it's pronounced. I think there was a place called the Nutmeg House on West Gulf Drive. South Seas Plantation was there. Sanibel Cottages, I believe, was there.
Timmy's Nook.
Oh yeah, Timmy's Nook. I'm sorry, I almost forgot that up on Captiva. Timmy's Nook was great, In fact, that was another story because the road that went along the Gulf, that road used to go straight through. And then it was a storm. It started right on top of us. So they called it the no-name storm. They never did even later on name it. But it took out a bunch of houses and stuff along that way because that road used to go straight through up to the South Seas. And then later on, of course, it was bended and stuff to be around Timmy's Nook and, some of the other places there.
Can you share some hidden gems, some things that you remember growing up as a kid?
One thing that I wish I did remember is when they first, when they expanded the Sanibel Elementary School, we buried a time capsule. And nobody knows where it is.
They did that so good.
I know. I'd like to think that I know where it is, but of course now it's been cemented over and built over buildings on top of it and stuff. But little things like that, I think that people did before with...
How many kids were in the Sanibel school when you went?
Oh, geez. There wasn't that many. In fact, when I first went, there was only 3 rooms. And the one room was the office and the library, which was combined. And then they had 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade in one room and 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade in another room. And in fact, you used to feel like you were special if you got chosen to go get the milk out of this one big refrigerator that we used to have, to bring into for lunch for all the kids. But the refrigerator used to leak all the condensation. And so, oh my God, if you stepped in the water at the same time you touched the handle, you'd get zapped. So, so you had to be really careful, getting the milk and stuff out. So you didn't know if it was an honor or if they were punishing you when it was time for you when you were chosen to go get the milk. I was the youngest of my mom's kids. And I'm sure I was a pain in her patoot one time when she was trying to work at the shop. So my uncle said, oh, hell, Mary, let her come to school. Nobody's going to know she's not old enough. And it didn't get caught up to me until later on when I was ready to graduate high school and beauty school. And you're supposed to be 18 and a high school graduate, and I was only 16. But my school luckily fought for me. And so they let me take my exam with my class. And I did turn 17, so they said, go ahead and go to work. You're qualified.
So what about you, Joe? And how about the two of you? How did you meet?
I'll be honest with you, I prayed for her. And I was so depressed one day, and I got on my motorcycle and I rode to the causeway, and God and I had a talk at 2 a.m. And I said, look, if I'm supposed to be married, hit me in the head with it. And I swear to you, it wasn't 3 days later, and I hugged this woman for the first time. And I was like, damn. That just felt right. It was meant to be. It really was. Hugged her on October the 27th, and we got married July 21st the following year.
And basically the same thing too is I had prayed for him too. I basically was like, look, God, my choice of men is absolute poop. If there's one out there for me, bring him to me and put him in my lap because I can't find him and I'm sick of looking. And so some of our friends wanted to set us up like a blind date. And he had been through relationships and I'd been through, so we actually kind of refused to meet each other initially. We used to, the beauty salon was right next to the Coconut Grove and they had a lounge over there. So after work, we'd go over and have a few drinks. And he was working there. And the girls were like, MaryAnne, you got to start dating. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And my girlfriend kept telling me, you've got to meet Joe. You've got to meet Joe. You guys will just hit it off. You guys will get along together. I didn't want to. And then I started thinking, well, supposedly there is this guy that wants to meet me. I don't know. Maybe I'll meet him. And they said, well, who is he? And I said, well, he works here. If he comes by the service window, I'll point him out to you. So he did. So I was like, Joni, there, Joni, him, right here, there. And so I look over and he sees me pointing at him. And I was like, oh, God. So he came around and he was like, hi, you're MaryAnne. And I said, yeah. I said, you must be Joe. And he says, yeah. And he says, I feel like I know you already because, my friend's been trying to set us up. And he says, can I just give you a hug? And normally that would have turned me off like you wouldn't believe. But I was already so embarrassed pointing at him and everything else. I thought, sure. And we hugged and that was it.
So how long have you guys been married now?
It's going to be 30 years in July.
We're going to make it to 50.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's the second marriage for both of us. So we're both gamblers, so we chose 7/21 for our wedding date. And it's worked.
Okay, so tell me, what about your daughter? Who's your daughter? What does she do now? Did she have any aspirations to follow in the family business?
Actually, she is. She's a hairdresser. My daughter is Dina Gant. Now it was Banta, but now she's married. She's expecting her third baby. But when she was 14, was also I had 3 salons on the island at the time, and in fact, the salon that we're in now actually was one of the 3 then. And it was back when the Bo Derek look was popular. And so I was able to get her a braiding license. I taught her how to braid and get her a braiding license when she was 14. And so she started, oh my God, I think we had 6 braiders at one time. That used to be really popular, that look. And so she started doing that and realized she could make a lot of money, and it was a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, and it was hard to get up and go to school because she wanted to come and make money. That's where Dad comes in.
You've had some famous guests here, I understand.
Yes, I have. And I'd like to think that it was because I was always so patriotic. Yeah, we were very lucky. I'd like to think that maybe that's why Mike Pence, our vice president, has chosen to come to our salon.
Mike Pence is a long-time island visitor, and he's been coming here from before the Trump...
He's been coming for about 30 years. Yeah, he likes Sanibel. He's been coming to visit and stuff. And so, I mean, if he needs a haircut, he does like to come in here, which is, I'm honored. So.
How long has he been coming into your store?
It's only been actually a few years. Or maybe we didn't notice him before either. Who knows? When it really got popular, like I said, was when he was the vice president.
Yeah, Secret Service comes in and grabs your attention.
And he comes in every year, or?
If he needs a haircut, he does. We got along great. I mean, and he sent me a personal thank you note and everything. And I have, some friends that are in the National Republican Committee and stuff, and they said that he has mentioned even to them that he likes to get his haircut on Sanibel. There's a few places he likes to go on Sanibel, but he's like a regular guy. He really likes to. It's like coming home to him. Right in the middle of his haircut, the Secret Service came in and said, "Sir, excuse me, I hate to interrupt you, but you've got a call from the president." And he said, "I've got to take this." And I said, "Well, of course." So I took his drape off and everything. And he went outside, and he was out in their big van for about 25 minutes. And then when he came back in, he said, I said, "Gee, I hope everything's okay." Like he's going to tell me anything anyway. But he was like, "Oh, yeah, everything's fine." And he was talking about Melania and the Easter egg roll and everything. And he says, "But I really do want to apologize." He says, "I'm so sorry I had to walk away from you in the middle of the haircut." And I had it all set up because I knew I wanted to play this little trick on him. I have the picture of the president as my ringtone. So I had my phone in my pocket. So when he said that he was sorry he had to, which was very nice of him too, to apologize that he had to walk away. I said, "Well, gee, I hope my phone doesn't ring, because if my phone rings, I might have to get it." And he kind of looked at me, and I was kind of reading his eyes like, "Okay, I'm back in your chair, and if your phone rings, you're going to answer it." But I hit the button, and my ringtone went off, and I said, "Oh, gee, there's my phone now." So when I pulled it out of my pocket, I showed it to him, and it was the president. He loved it. He loved it.
Anything as a local that either of you guys do that you could recommend doing while there?
Well, Sanibel is a lovely, wonderful place. They've done a great job with keeping the height restrictions down and stuff. You can't take live shells anymore, so don't try to make coquina broth. But but it is a really great place, great bike paths, great everything to come, with your kids and have a good time. Great restaurants. The ones that are here have made it, because if you're not good, if you don't have the locals as your support, you don't make it. So any restaurant that you see has made it. So you can always call us. Our telephone number is 239-472-1111.
And then, Joe, how about your business? How can people get in touch with you?
I do have a website. It's barefootcharters.net and 239-281-1963. Or you can call over at Castaways Marina. They'll know how to get in touch with me, or MaryAnne always knows where I'm at.
I hope if you need a haircut while on the island, you will visit the Sanibel Beauty Salon at 2248 Periwinkle Way and have a laugh with MaryAnne as she gives you a trim and shares tales of old Sanibel. And if you need an expert fishing guide, Joe's your man. Just ask MaryAnne how to find him. Visit our website, thesandcapguide.com, for tons more island information. And if you have not already done so, please like and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you click on the bell icon to be notified of future content. There are some links to island products that we recommend in the section below. It doesn't cost you anything, but should you decide to purchase something, we may get a tiny commission which helps with the running of this channel. If you would like to be a sponsor or supporter of the channel, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. My name is Nick Adams. Come and join me on the next one.